10:30, and we are ready to go here at Unity of Little Rock, and we're glad you're here. Now, this is kind of a little bit of wishful thinking, seeing the fall scene, but we know it's coming. Have you noticed the sun has kind of changed, and it's getting darker at night? I mean, we're getting ready to go to that fall, and you know, school has started. And so families are back into routines. That's kind of nice. Labor Day is Monday. I'm wearing white today, but I won't be. My mama taught me.
I still don't. What is the story behind that?
I have no idea. It's just the urban myth. Don't wear white after Labor Day.
Yes, I believe that. Oh, thank goodness for Google.
Find out for us, Pam.
Yeah.
But anyway, so here at Unity, well, we're getting ready for World Day of Prayer, and we're approaching this fall equinox, and it's a time of self-reflection and spiritual awareness. We're kind of starting to now, we're going to harvest, we're going to go inward. What is your take on fall? I know winter is a time to really go inward, but what about in the fall season?
So for me, the significant thing for September is a festival that's not very well known, but it's called Michaelmas.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of ties into the Harvest Festival, and with the meteor shower, and so there's this whole thing of the iron from the meteors coming into the earth, and that fructifies the earth, and that's what prepares us for winter. So it's this whole spiritual, this Michael feeling of enlargement, of embracing.
Okay, so we're preparing for winter, but it's okay. All right. So, but it is World Day of Prayer coming up, and of course we're going to focus on prayer this month. So this is the third time this year I think I've talked on prayer.
Wow.
And I tried to find something new. But this has been an important year for me. Listen, if you have to give 3 talks on prayer, you are starting to really work on your prayer practice. And I have really, I've had some ahas. And one of them has been to pray from the other side of the problem. I've really been thinking on that, and I've been working it. And then also to pray from a consciousness. Well, we know Butterworth says pray from a consciousness of God, but I've been praying from love, and even trying to, you know, love the people that are giving me a hard time in life, you know. So, good morning. And so I hope I bring you something new. I found something that you all would like. It's called Spiritual Passages, and it's Reverend Scott Aubrey hosts this. He's in the Center for Spiritual Living, so I'm thinking maybe he's with like Science of Mind, maybe not Unity, but you all, it's a wonderful, he provides wonderful little snippets and a prayer that goes with it. Now, you know we had a blue moon this week. Super blue moon. So we had a super blue moon, and this was his thing on August 30th, and it was the biggest and brightest full moon of the year. And then as Dave Allgaier told us, we're not going to see another one for a long time.
14 years?
Yeah, something like that. So it was really pretty auspicious occasion. And the term blue moon originated from the 16th century. The moon is blue, meaning something that was impossible was happening. I don't know. And was it the third? No, it wouldn't have been the second full moon of the month. I didn't know.
Super moon is the blue moon is the second full moon in the same month.
That's okay. I thought that was true.
The super moon is when the moon's orbit is the nearest to the Earth, so it appears a little bit larger as it's closest to the Earth.
And it did appear large if you saw that. And so then he provides a quote: "Yours is the light by which my spirit is born." And then he has an affirmative prayer. And I know I hear a lot of us talk about, you know, I wish I could get that language of affirmative prayer instead of the traditional prayer I grew up with. And so he offers this little snippet here that wow, it's something to really think about. Infinite presence, how good it is to live in the light of this universe. Thank you, Spirit, for revealing yourself to me, not just every once in a while, but all the time. Thank you, God forever, amen. So it's just it's a beautiful website, so I ask you to explore it. Now, there's a couple of books that I used, and one of them is a new pamphlet from unity.org, Finding Peace Through Prayer, and it's really worth the read, you all. I downloaded it, so you can go on unity.org and get it free download, and I think we're going to try to get some to have here too, but it's really worth the read. It has prayers, and then sometimes they discuss the principles of prayer. It's really it's a good little booklet. And then that book inspired me to bring out a book I hadn't used in a long time, and it's really wonderful. It's The Secrets of the Lost Mode of Prayer, and it's by Greg Braden. And I didn't put this one on the slide, but this is a classic Unity. It's Prayer Works. And what this woman did, this is a Unity book, and she collected a lot of prayers from Silent Unity, a lot of letters. And so you see people writing in with their gratitude for what happened with their life from praying with Silent Unity. And I was almost going to do this today, but I'm not. I was almost going to call Silent Unity and let us have a prayer together with them. But if you haven't tried calling Silent Unity, that is really worth it. It truly is. So, well, that just sets us up for what we're going to be doing. So at Unity, we say we're 100% human and 100% divine. And we sure have the human part down. No doubt. But prayer is really about claiming our divinity. So let's say our opening statement together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, source of all good. Now, the daily word for today is interesting. I think it has something to do with our divinity, too. It's refresh. Well, it's kind of humid outside. It's kind of hard to feel refreshed this morning, but I refresh my awareness in my divinity. I refresh my awareness with prayer, meditation, and contemplation. It is inherent wherever I am, whatever I am doing. It is easy to find the divine reflected in the people and animals I encounter and in the natural beauty that surrounds me. We're going to be talking about how with prayer, it's finding the beauty in everything that transforms. And so that is refreshing. Have you ever when you come out of prayer or meditation, you do indeed, you feel refreshed. So that's our daily word. And now we'll have a little moment of prayer before we begin. And I like to think of the 5 movements of prayer. I'm going to be talking more about the 5 steps, the original way that people thought about prayer. But I like to think of prayer as an opening, as an expansion. And we always start at the heart center. So here we are, this first Sunday in September. Let's open and relax. Open our hearts, open our minds to the lessons we're going to learn. Open ourselves to our community and beyond. God is life, love, and wisdom, ever present all around us. There is nowhere that this substance is not. Always available to me. I have those qualities. I am the love, the peace, the intelligence, the wisdom, the strength. I just have to remember that I am 100% divine as well as human. And there are circumstances that we see and observe, yet underneath there is some beauty. There is something that we can connect to in oneness. And we hold in this prayer space to pray for others. And we remember and radiate the love and intelligence and life, the vitality, even when others are suffering. We hold that space. And we are so grateful to be here in this community with each other, with our truth principles that we know. And we think of our loved ones beyond. We think of the whole world and we hold the earth in a spirit of love and life. And so it is. And here's a prayer that I just love. It's a traditional prayer. All right. So that was a traditional prayer, but it's so beautiful, and it still evokes feeling in me, even though the words are, very traditional and thinking of kind of God out there. But I believe that your practice of prayer, it's just transformative of me, and I believe those around me, and in the energy field in this whole universe. So let's look at that. Now, in the book, the little book on finding peace through prayer, I really liked this Reverend Edith Washington Wood's take on the 5 steps of prayer. She says, I am the point at which all the universe rises up to bless my space, thoughts, actions, and reactions. I am the point at which the universe rises up to bless all of that. Now, if you look in the booklet, Edith Washington Woods, I believe she started out as like an electrician, and then she became a unity minister later. So just a real interesting side story there. But the first one, I was saying we open, but relax is the traditional way that Charles and Myrtle first talked about the 5 steps. And her take on this is, I continue to breathe. I focus my attention on the top of my head, directing my breath there, and then I'll let it flood and down through every area of my body, all the way to my toes. And she feels her entire body relaxing into the nothingness of the moment. Now that's pretty neat to do. And then she concentrates on an affirmation, just simply God is. She just recognizes the presence, and in just some silence and meditation, she immerses herself in that presence. So you have relaxed yourself into nothingness, and then you are just, can you feel yourself in the presence? And in that realization of the sacred container that you've created, I've become very silent, she says, so silent that I could hear the sounds of life all around me. And I realize all that I've been yearning and searching for, it is within me. I'm in the center of it. So that's really kind of a simple process to bring us into that. And finally, she expresses gratitude. As I conclude this expansive time with myself, I give thanks. I'm grateful for this new and different way of releasing the day or beginning the day, and I'm thankful to have a new way to celebrate and affirm my life. But her process, you can do that without words, without even thinking words. You could just get into that presence. I really liked her description of that. And in fact, as I was reading in the book, it said, rather than praying for peace, prayer offers the opportunity to feel peace through the experience itself. And we're going to be doing that all throughout this lesson, and even into the meditation. We're going to talk about that, just feeling, getting that feeling. Now, we had the prayer of St. Francis, and he said that the result of prayer is life. It simply irrigates the earth and the heart. The book is by The Lost Mode of Prayer, is by Greg Braden, and he's a pretty renowned author. I enjoy his reading. This is a short little book, and honestly, I couldn't put it down. It's really well written, and it's about 160 pages, and it was really, really good. And I loved rereading it. You know what? You're a different person when you reread something. You've had some experiences, you've had things in your life, and you come back and you go, oh, it's a whole new book. It really is a whole new book. And Greg Braden said, feel the feeling. as though the prayer has already been answered. And in that feeling, we are speaking to the forces of creation, allowing the world to respond to us. Now, Greg is big on using science, and he talks a lot about the unity field. He called it the unity field. Some of people call it the unified field. So I love the way he weaves science into this, because in a way, maybe we spiritual people have already known about this. We know that Charles Fillmore wrote about the atom smashing power of man, and so we've always kind of thought about these quantum ideas, but now physicists, it's all coming together now. Science, spirituality, it's all coming together. Now, Braden researched modes of prayer, and he found something very profound. The ancients knew that substance, what we unitics call substance, is a great force in the universe that unites us in oneness with the cosmos. He calls that power prayer. Braden presents 5 secrets of the lost mode of prayer. And unlike traditional prayer, this technique of prayer has no words. It's based on the silent language of human emotion. There's those feelings of peace and gratitude and joy and strength, any of the divine qualities. We are given direct access to the power of creation through claiming these powers in prayer. Now, in the monastery, he visited all over the world, and in the monasteries of the Tibetan plateau, Braden asked a monk, "What are you doing when you pray?" And the monk answered, "You have never seen our prayers. What you have seen is what we do to create the feeling in our bodies." And you can think about that in many ceremonies, with the rituals that we create. It's really to help us create that feeling, to get into that space, I believe. Feeling is the prayer, said the monk. Feeling is the prayer. This mode of prayer simply invites us to feel a clear and powerful feeling, as if our prayers have been answered. So, Braden tells a wonderful, wonderful story, and I haven't told it in a while, because as I said, I used this, I don't know, last time I talked on this book could have been 2015 or so, 2016. But it's this idea of praying rain. He was with a friend, and he lives in New Mexico. And he was with a Native American, and they were going on a hike, and it had been very dry. And so the guy said, I think we're going to do a rain ceremony. Well, Braden was expecting that they would take this hike and get into this ancient stone circle, and that maybe he would dance and chant. He had this kind of white man's conception of what was going to happen. But instead, he said, he got to the stone circle and he said, "This stone circle is a medicine wheel that has been here for as long as my people can remember. The wheel itself has no power." See, that's the thing. The rituals maybe have no power. It serves as a place of focus for the one invoking the prayer. You could think of it as a road map, a map between humans and the forces of the world. So this David stepped into the circle and got very still. He put his hands in front of his face in a prayer position and closed his eyes. And he actually became motionless. He was oblivious to the heat of the high desert sun. And his breathing slowed, and he was just so still. You could hardly see him breathe. After only a few moments, though, he did take a deep breath. He opened his eyes and looked at Greg Braden and said he was done. Now, again, Greg Braden had expected to see dancing and hear chanting, and he said, "You're done already? I thought you were going to pray for rain." And David looked up at him and said, "No, I said that I would pray rain. It's a little different. If I had prayed for rain, it could never happen. Later in the day, he explained, the key is that when we ask for something to happen, we give power to what we do not have. Praying for healing empowers the sickness. Prayers for rain empowers the drought. Continuing to ask for these things only gives more power to the things that we would like to change. Looking back at David, I asked, if you didn't pray for rain, then what did you do? Oh, it's simple, replied David. I began to have the feeling of what rain feels like. I felt the feeling of rain on my body, what it feels to stand with my naked feet in the mud as the rain is falling. I smelled the smells of rain on the earthen walls in our village. I felt what it would be like to walk through fields of corn that is chest high, and maybe to see the wildflowers that come out after the rains. I prayed rain. So following the prayers of rain, he described how feelings of thanks and appreciation were the completion of the prayers, kind of like the Amen in Christianity. And we know that's our final step in our prayers, is that appreciation and gratitude. So rather than giving thanks for what he created for the rain, now this is interesting, David told me that he felt grateful for the opportunity to participate in creation. Grateful for the opportunity to pray and to create and to be there. Through our thanks, we honor all possibilities while bringing the ones we choose to this world. I just love that. Well, I said in one of my last talks on prayer, we pray from the other side of the problem. And that was a really aha for me this summer. And I've really been trying to work that into my practice on a very consistent basis. You know, I remember, I'm not going to go into it, but I told you about my son in the lawsuit. And I just saw everyone dropping all their resistance and coming to a resolution, you know, and just like he prayed rain. And if you think about it, if we're praying for peace, can we pray for peace while we feel tremendous anger toward the war or the autocrats who wreak destruction? You see, that's kind of a conflict. We've got to feel the peace in our heart. Now, we're going to get to a meditation about the peace. I really want to emphasize that. Feel peace. Pray peace. So think of something you'd like to experience in your life. Now, feel the gratitude for what your life is like with this prayer answered. Just take a minute. Did you notice any ease and release that comes from the giving of thanks rather than longing and yearning for the outcome? I really did. I'm about to take a trip to Washington, D.C., and some of the plans are up in the air, and I'm the underlying fabric of all creation. That sounds like substance to me. See, in Unity, we may say a different word, but we get that. We certainly get that. It's like the mind of God. Braden says that the field provides us with a reflection, an outer mirror of our inner experiences. And we know that. That's principle number 3. We create our own reality in consciousness. We do. So, consciousness creates. When we peer into the void of the universe in search of its limits, or into the quantum world of the atom, the very act of looking puts something there for us to see. You know, it is said in the quantum physics that when just by observing we change things. So that's really kind of important. The anticipation of consciousness, expecting to see something, the feeling that something is there to see, that's what creates. That's what creates. So there's that praying for rain, or praying peace, or praying for a good trip, or praying a good trip, excuse me, not for, but praying a good trip. Then, you know, I'm already started creating. Mind, idea, expression. That's what we say in Unity. So first we've got to feel these things as reality if we're going to create. If we can feel it in our hearts and we bring it into mind, it is a divine idea. But what happens with us is we start limiting that idea and bringing it more into focus, and then it becomes our experience. It's clear that for the mirror of our world to reflect positive, life-affirming, and lasting change, we've got to give the mirror something to work with. It's really true. So if you're in prayer, mind, idea, expression, give the mirror something to work with. This is the subtle yet powerful relationship between the language of prayer and the mind of God that unites all of creation. Rather than attempting to make the world bend to our wishes, feeling-based prayer changes us. We bend, and the world spontaneously reflects that. So the first secret is that prayer is feeling. And as we're talking about that, we are not only observers, we are participators in some strange sense that this is a participatory universe. Now that's a quote by John Wheeler. He was a contemporary of Albert Einstein. And am I getting too fast? Excuse me. Oh, that got left out, I'm sorry. So he was a contemporary, and what he did is he studied the relationship between consciousness and the universe. Consciousness creates. So the second secret is hurt is the way, hurt is the teacher, wisdom is the lesson. And here's a quote from the Gospel according to Thomas. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what is within you will destroy you. And by that, I think Braden interpreted it is when we run away from or just suppress our feelings, that can be destructive to us. It is when we bring forth what is inside and express it that we are saved. Hurt is the way we know how deeply we can feel and how deeply we love. Life seeks patterns. How this works. So, I'm a mathematician, so this is the Mandelbrot set. It's a fractal. Now, what you should notice is there's patterns everywhere. But look do you see how repeating it is? No matter how small you go in on that thing, the patterns exist. Everything is repeated. And, there is chaos theory. It's like nature really seeks patterns. And as the patterns repeat and repeat and repeat, they can break apart and expand into newer patterns. So, as a terribly interesting design, and it's just on top of itself. This is the balance of pattern and change. And also this pattern reminds me of something else I've talked about before. That is the polarities. We do this dance. So we have these opposites, maybe good and evil. We have order and chaos. And really there is a dance, and we're really in an energy cycle. We're never like one or the other, but we're always, we'll come to the top of one and then we'll change, and we go through it. And so I believe that I believe that we really are doing this dance. There are these patterns, and what happens is, if you remember anything about polarities, there's an upside and then there's kind of a downside to both sides of it. And it's not so much that you get in balance, it's kind of that you keep moving, you stay in the flow of it. You really stay in the flow of it, and you look at it as a non-duality instead of one thing or the other. And neither one is better than the other. They both have a purpose. So that's how I saw the polarities fitting into this. We are souls expressing ourselves through bodies. And while they're made of the elements of the universe, it's our souls that bring our bodies to life. And when our souls hurt, our pain is transmitted into our bodies as the spiritual quality of the life force that we feed into each cell. So love is what sustains us. The constant things, love, truth, peace, wisdom, that sustains us as we traverse these polarities. And if you think about it, there's hurt and there's wisdom. And as a part of a natural cycle, they appear to be closely related. But while hurt comes from the way we interpret the experience, changing the way we feel about it shifts us into wisdom in this cycle. So as we traverse these polarities, we really are transmuting the hurt into a wisdom. Now there's a gap. There's kind of a space in between. It's the moment we get a little moment of choice, a little moment of grace in between the hurt and the wisdom. We can even sense this when we're breathing. There's that split second between the inhale and the exhale. The Navajo describes this gap twice in a day. It's the twilight. So it's just before the dawn and just after the sun sets. And many think, you've heard of people getting up really early to meditate, especially right before dawn. And many think these times for prayer have the greatest power and the most profound effects. So, yes. And it's sort of like, as you're dancing on these polarities, for a brief moment there's this perfect balance, and it's just really ripe with possibility and potential. Now, blessing is an emotional lubricant for this process. So that brings me to the third secret. Blessing is the release. Blessing. Now this, I think I've been doing this all along, but when you get to Braden's process, maybe you'll recognize yourself in this blessing process. As I say, there's this gap, a brief moment of perfect balance. In the moment between breathing in and breathing out is hidden all the mysteries, and this was in the Gospel of Essene. So, of peace. So here's the process. Something's happened to you. Well, the first thing is bless those who are suffering. And then bless those who have inflicted the suffering, and bless those who are witnessing the suffering. So for example, we could take Ukraine, and if you've been watching the news at all, think of the destruction those people are going through. They're homeless, but they're trying to stay in those small villages that have been overrun by soldiers. There's so much going, children separated from families. Oh, bless them. Bless all involved in that war. And then, now here's the hard one. Bless even the Russian soldiers who've been manipulated into this situation and told to kill, to run down other human beings. Bless them. Bless the soldiers on both sides. It's even hard, but we've got this man at the top, Putin, and no telling what happened in his childhood that created all this hateful action in him. Oh, what hurt is at the bottom of him. Can we bless that? And then bless the world. We see this day in, day out. We hear about the drones. Oh, such a situation. Well, that's an extreme example. Now, I've even had some real recently in my life, too. Let's much bring that down to a smaller scale. Like with Mitch in the lawsuit, I was blessing the people that were suing him because they were very unhappy people. They just never were happy with anything that was in their lives. And yet they had money, they had resources, and yet they devoted their life to suing Mitch. So bless them for that. And then there was a dust up with friends, and I remember blessing everyone in the situation, and not kind of getting in that place of neutrality. Greg Brayton tells of when he found this little cat, and it was a stray, and he found it, and he actually saved the cat's life, and they became best friends. And then, he lives in the high desert. Well, the cat went out one night and didn't come back, and the coyotes got it. And he said he blessed, I think the cat's name was Merlin. He blessed little Merlin, and then he blessed the coyotes. I mean, they were just doing what coyotes do. And then he blessed himself, and he said he remembered as he did that, he just broke down in sobs. You can see that this blessing process is kind of a way of forgiveness in a way, and a real release, probably very useful in grief, I could imagine. This was a new learning for me. I realized I'd kind of participated in it, but I'd never, thought of it with these 3 steps before. So, there's the blessing. I wonder if that's new to you all a little bit. I bet though you're familiar with it, probably. And the 4th secret is beauty is the transformer. Seeing the beauty in everything. Everything. And Greg Brayton talks about Mother Teresa in the streets of Calcutta. And really what her practice was is she would find among the untouchables, especially the dying, and she really kind of she probably helped all people, but she also ran a hospice, and she saw beauty in all of, whether the trash, the smells, the streets of Calcutta. She found that beauty. Today I was driving in and thinking, obviously in our nature in Arkansas we see beauty. That's easy. But in all circumstances, is there beauty? In our little community here, we have all sorts of people, and there's beauty in each one of us. Beauty in each one of us. And sometimes I go, well, I wouldn't live my life that way, but okay, is there Is there beauty here? The choice before us in each moment of every day is to consider only what we're shown in the moment. Now, I like this idea. Only what we're shown in the moment. Because what we do is we start comparing to something we've seen before. But what if we just observe in the moment and see that beauty, and then go to the next moment? This is how we plant our seeds in our awareness that become the attractors that's even going to, the more you notice beauty, the more you're going to see it in really odd circumstances. It is only when we compare our actual experience to an idea of what we believe should look like, beauty should look like, that we're capable of seeing anything other than the beauty of the moment. Beauty of the moment. Now in NVC, we have we've come into a kind of a meditation and practice. We call it the beauty of needs. And nonviolent communication, we all often try to identify, well, what are we feeling? And then what is that feeling telling us that we need? Now, when people start practicing NVC, they get kind of quote unquote needy. They start thinking, yes, I need peace. I need respect. I need consideration. Me. But in the beauty of needs teaching, this is from my wonderful mentor, Robert Gonzalez. Yes. The beauty of needs teachings takes an opposite approach and says that needs are not so much a longing which can either be satisfied or frustrated as a constant living energy which underpins our experience of being alive. The longing we experience is simply to reconnect with that life energy. Usually, of course, our attention is more on the outward manifestations of the needs, and we are not so attuned to this inner energetic reality. But if we do bring our consciousness to that place, we can switch from experiencing lack to fulfillment without taking any external actions at all. And we are going to do a beauty of needs meditation with peace today. I'm going to work with a recording from Mary McKenzie, who runs the MVC Academy. And so the idea, it just sort of sums up everything I've sort of talked about. It brings us to that feeling of peace. So you'll experience it today, I hope. Now, a final, it didn't get in the right order. The fifth secret is create your own prayers. Let's see. I guess I put it out of order. So there's so many resources. I love How to Pray Without Talking to God by Linda Martello-Whitsitt. I brought resources today. I showed you the website so that you could, if you don't want to think of words on your own, and you want to work with something else, there are those little snippets that I showed you. In fact, here's another one. I love this one. It was talking about how for more than 2 decades the U.S. tech industry was booming, and then the pandemic hit and everyone left the office. And then we thought, well, that's going to be it. We just won't even come back to the office. But it turns out we were wrong. So people are starting to adjust and come back. And it's the quote is, we have so little faith in the ebb and flow of life. We leap at the flow of the tide and resist its ebb. We insist on permanency. We think, whoop, we've reached this level. That's the way it's going to stay. But that's what I want y'all to see in that dance of polarity. It doesn't stay the same. Life is ever flowing. And when the only continuity possible in life is maybe love and spirit and God and substance. So the affirmative prayer is, today I give thanks for the give and take in life and for the great centering point of pure spirit. In the midst of change, I am anchored in my divinity. I live and move in this sacred steadfastness. So that's a really great resource. Now, another resource, believe it or not, or I did the prayer of St. Francis. You know, another one that evokes feeling, think about things that evoke feeling in you. When I hear the 23rd Psalm, as traditional as that is, I get it just floods me. I love those words. And there's another scripture in Matthew, and it just starts off, do not be anxious. And it talks about the lilies of the field and all that. But just, I hear those words and I'm just flooded with a feeling of embrace and love and support. Do you all have words that, you know, and it may not be the Bible, but there's a lot of traditional words that we've spoken in the past. Prayer of protection.
The Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer. Because I read Setting a Trap for God, and I really understand it in a whole different way. It really was Jesus teaching us how to pray. And the prayer of protection is another one that I say, and the love of God enfolds me, and I'm melting, you know, I'm just in that love. So whatever yours is, find those touch points, I suppose we could say, that work for you, and then just create your own prayer. I'm kind of smiling today because for the prayer at the beginning, I didn't read anything. I usually have to. I like to write. What I'll do is on a Saturday, I'll sit there and I am in prayer and I just get a download and I like to type it out and then I read it. But today I just said, no, I can do this. So at any rate, just create your own prayers. But here's the deal: pray. Now let's see. I had this slide here. So here's the secrets again. Prayer is feeling. Hurt is the teacher. Wisdom is the lesson. Blessing is the release, and beauty is the transformer. And then I can create my own prayers. So let's see. So now we're going to go into meditation, and halfway through I'm going to let Mary take over. And this is kind of a little bit longer than we normally do, but this is about feeling peace, praying peace. So let's just start by taking a deep breath. Be aware of where you are, maybe with your eyes at half-mast. Notice your surroundings. Notice sitting in the chair. Sit with strength in your spine. Notice any tension. In your body. Is there any tension? Breathe love and compassion to these places. Do you feel any relaxation? Breathe in gratitude and compassion. Allow yourself to relax completely, knowing that you have everything you need at this moment. You are completely held and supported at this moment.
And now bring your focus to the word peace. And at first, just invite in any words or thoughts or other information that come into you around this word peace. And now invite in any memories of people or situations or moments in your life when your need for peace was well met. Or what it would be like if your need for peace was met. What would that be like? And now let go of all those memories of people and situations that may have been going through your mind. Even let go of the word peace. And allow yourself to be simply with the energy of peace. And now try to get to know that energy a bit more. For instance, do you notice extra energy in a particular part of your body? It might feel like tingling or possibly even pressure. Does it have a particular color or texture or shape? Do your emotions shift at all? Try to be curious and get to know this energy as much as you can. This energy of peace. And now allow this energy of peace to fill every cell of your body until you're saturated with it. Until it becomes challenging to differentiate between that energy and you. You become it. You become the energy of peace.
we can radiate this peace into this community, into the world. And now we always have this experience of knowing peace and how it lives in us. We can return to this whenever we need to. Is there any person or place where you would especially like to send peace? Let your focus go there for a moment. Now, holding that peace energy lightly, start to come back into your awareness of place and body. And as you open your eyes, remind yourself again that peace remains fully radiant in you, and it is always, always available. So remember, pray peace, pray rain. We need some. Thank you. Thank you.